And I'm Ricky.
Welcome to the Demand Gen Daily Podcast. Welcome back, and as always, please remember to subscribe, hit us up with some questions. We will answer them. Today, we are going to be talking about personas and creative testing. Let's dive right into it. And if you haven't seen it, we've already done 2 other episodes on this. Go back, check those out in case you're looking to hire an agency and you don't know what questions to ask them. Here it is. So what is your current process for discovering personas and or buyer groups? And some people call this the avatar, whatever have you. Some really quick data on this. 71% of companies that use some sort of persona / buyer group methodology, 71% are hitting their goals versus 37% who are not using a methodology like this. So again, correlation is not causation. However, the data is pretty good because I think this was done based on 1,000 responses of various CMOs and VPs of marketing. So pretty strong evidence for it. So personas and buyer groups, look, what you're looking for in an answer from the agency is, are they including demographics, emotional drivers, motivations, purchase goals? Like, why are they purchasing this thing? What are they trying to get out of it? What's the buying criteria? What digital channels do they use? User personas are sometimes very high level, 20 to 45 and female or male or whatever else. It's like, okay, I get it. But beyond that, let's get into what triggers purchase, what motivates them to get something like this. What are they trying to get out of the whole exchange? Like, out of purchasing your product, right? So you're really looking for the depth of their answer on like how deep do they go with a persona. And why it matters is because this information is going to influence all of the creative, the copy, the landing pages, each step of the funnel, and then of the buying journey. It's going to affect the whole thing. So if their user research / persona building doesn't have an in-depth methodology, the likelihood of good results decreases very, very quickly. So it's a huge red flag if they're building absolutely nothing. Now, there's different ways that people approach this. Like some agencies, when they don't do a strategy for you, they build personas and they have them in kind of internal docs. Maybe you have to see those. They might not be like this nice fancy presentation, but they will have them somewhere. And they generally have a methodology of how they achieve them. So that's what you really want to get from them on this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of creative, you want to be asking, what methodology do you use when testing creative at the beginning of an engagement? And also, how do you keep testing beyond that initial phase? So obviously there's going to be some initial tests that happen when you're launching a campaign that have been planned for, but then also once you've seen those, what's happening at that point? How do you continue to test based on the different buyer personas and based on the different creative that could be possible? Now, of course, the answer might be completely dependent on your budget, because if you have a larger budget for more creative, more variations, more tests, that makes a total sense. So be aware that answer might be completely budget dependent, but if they have the ability, this is where you can say, look, let's assume you have the budget. How would we go about this? Walk me through it. And it's a really good idea to ask them about how they ideate and build their campaigns.
Yeah, and to that point, let's get into the next question, which translates really nicely. How do you organize tests that your agency runs? And it's a very small question, very few words. However, it's loaded, okay? Because what you're actually looking for is more of a methodology / technical answer. And really how it goes beyond it. Because like, how many days will they run tests, right? Like how many ads? How are they A/Bing this? And what you're trying to like really get at is, how are they considering top, middle, bottom of funnel, right? Are they testing certain things at certain levels? And then why? So looking at the full user buying journey, top to bottom within that funnel, and say, we're finding the blockages in this funnel, right? So like we know that the top of the funnel is really good. They're converting really well. Middle of funnel, they're getting stuck. Okay, we need to run tests there. So that's the real answer. Then that's why I'm saying it's a very loaded question, because it's not like, oh, we test everything. It's like you have to test blockage points because they're more important,
Yeah.
of course.
And it's really important also to ask them, how do they determine a successful test versus an unsuccessful test? One really big red flag is if they're basically not using consistent variables and they have everything changing, right? How are you going to know in that case if something is successful or unsuccessful when everything is changing? You might know, okay, conversion output and like the total cost, and so you could see this one was better, but what about it was better? Because if you don't get to that nuance, then how do you replicate that? And how do you continue to actually do successful tests moving forward?
Absolutely. To wrap up, really, it all starts with a persona. So, like, the deeper the persona, the better the understanding of the persona, the buying journey, and how that reflects on the buying journey. Huge. Step one. What is the methodology that they're using and how are they organizing it? Because organization, if tests are poorly organized, even if the methodology is good, if they're poorly organized, the data won't be conclusive and you won't know why certain things are improving certain items and others are not. All right. We have a couple more parts left in this, what questions to ask an agency series. So we'll catch you on the next one.